What is up, YouTube? It is May 28th, 2021. How is everybody today? It is a beautiful day outside, and I felt inspired to do a video. Recently, I had a troll come onto my YouTube channel, and I was completely unaware of it until somebody pointed it out to me on Twitter. And one of the arguments that the troll was making was something about the effect of supporting sex workers via OnlyFans, and I kind of chuckled at that because I have seen this justification many times over, and not just from sex workers, but from porn addicts too. And I wanted to kind of talk about this because there's this notion of ethical and moral justification through platforms that are somehow superior. And, bottom line is, if you're engaged inside of the porn recovery space, we all know that porn is harmful to us and to other people. And it's a conventional statement that if you just say it out loud, will make sense, but also kind of be the check to any sort of impulsive behaviors you might have. But I wanted to kind of break this down for a moment because I think it's critical to just kind of talk it through. So it goes something like this, that cam platforms like OnlyFans can give sex workers control and monetary benefit over their content. Ergo, cam platforms are ethically superior choices than traditional porn sites. Right? So we have the contention, and then we have what the results of this are, or what the results of this contention would be. So the results would be that cam platforms are ethically superior choice, and it's better than traditional porn sites. There's a lot of people out there that will read that or hear that. They'll process that, and inside their internal monologue will be, well, that's true. Is it? Let's kind of go over it for a moment. The first thing that I see, and I come from a recovery space, so rationalization is always fresh in my mind, is that this is a type of rationalization. And what is a rationalization? A rationalization provides good reasons for the use of your vice. That's exactly what that argument does, right? It's trying to say that, it's okay to consume this content because it's OnlyFans, and OnlyFans is a better source of content because the poor sex workers are now getting paid fairly and have control over their content. Okay. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the notion that there is economic well-being for sex workers through the consumption, and that this is a preference because it's good. It hits home a little bit for me because many moons ago I had an ex-girlfriend of mine who was a stripper, and she didn't start out as a stripper. She was just a friend of mine that we used to hang out. This is when I was a much younger human being. In the area that I lived in, there was a lot of incentive for a person to become a stripper because the income was so good. So if you can imagine it, I lived in an area that had a very, very high tourist industry. So, lots of minimum wage jobs, lots of jobs that relied on the tourist industry. So if you wanted to have a good job, you tended to work inside of restaurants, for tips and that sort of thing. At the time, you could become a stripper in one of these organizations, provided you had the look for it, and you could make 5 to 10 times the amount than like a waiter could in a week. Easy. I used to love dating her at that time because when she got into that occupation, man, we were going out and partying all the time, and she didn't mind picking up the bill because there was money to burn. And I ended up watching that job destroy her. It destroyed her spirit. It destroyed her motivation because she wanted to go to law school. But once you start making obscene amounts of money from a few hours worth of work, and then you start falling into this lifestyle that had lots of drug use, and lots of other personalities who worked inside of the various strip bars that she would rotate in. A lot of these people were messed up. A lot of these women were messed up. And so just hanging out with personalities like that, it fed into her personality lots of different sort of negative attributes that honestly just made her unattractive to me. And after a while we broke up, and I am so glad I got out of that relationship, because it was borderline toxic. And it didn't start out that way. It's what the sex industry did to her. Back then I didn't know much because I was a much younger man. I thought, lots of the things that were happening were partially my fault. And as I got older and got a chance to really mature around it, I really understood that there's nothing beneficial. The liberal mindset I had about, what's so wrong about working inside of the sex industry? There's lots of things about working in the sex industry that are negative and harmful for the person who's doing the work. And it's the same thing with cam operators too. Think about and put yourself in their shoes. Every single day in, day out, looking into a screen and seeing, men masturbating back at you, and having to put on a performance, and having to manage expectations, and having to manage yourself. The way that would have a psychological impact on you. And it's all not because of necessarily your skill sets, although some of it might be, sexual skill sets, but it's not necessarily because you're bringing anything intellectually to the table. It's because of who you are. It's because of your body. And a lot of these things and attributes that these women have, they're just kind of born into. They don't exactly have a lot of control over things. So I guess the long story short is that any person who's working in the sex industry or doing sex work of any sort is not hitting some sort of career milestone here, regardless of how much money they make. Sex work is a waste of human potential. If you try helping them out by participating in a platform like OnlyFans, you're not doing them a service, you're doing them a disservice. It's no way of actually helping them. It's actually helping perpetuate them staying in that cycle of getting easy money and having to use their body in order to make an income. It's an easy money gig, but it's a damaging easy money gig. They're constantly being used, being ogled for cash, constantly be treated like objects. And after a while, it's damaging. I mean, I'm sure that there's some out there that are able to park themselves and distance themselves from it. But still, think about the mindset of that person. Think about the mindset that they created for themselves. That, regardless of how disgusting as the person is that they're interacting with, they're just going to, put on a pretty smile and just keep acting like things are normal. Push through it. It's not healthy. There's nothing healthy about that relationship, neither for the consumer or for the person doing the sex work. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. But, I think the takeaway from this entire video is the focus on the fallacious reasoning that would bring a person to justify having to go back and use a platform like OnlyFans, with the rationalization being that somehow cam workers, using a platform that supports cam workers directly and takes out the large middleman. It's not a rational justification for using the service, and neither is engaging in a rationalization that says that there's some sort of greater good, ergo I should keeping my addiction. Won't work with me. You've got to call yourself out every single time when you go down that little rabbit hole. Anyway, so that's it for today. I hope you are all doing well, and please stay on that road to recovery.